Okay, so guys, anything that stood out for you from the King Price Insurance case study? Anything that interested you a little bit? Yeah, so Gary said the fact that premiums decrease every month. They started in a garage. So guys, this is also something that I want you to kind of think of, because I'm going to refer back to the fact that they started in a garage. What really stood out for me is that it said that Galloway was joined by a team of seasoned insurance experts and technology gurus who shared his vision. And that's important. Remember, like I just said, if we are going to Cape Town, we can't have people in the car that want to go in other directions. We need to have a shared vision. And also, what was interesting to me was at the beginning of the page, it says there, according to Galloway, clients don't realize that insurance are regulated to reserve a percentage of premiums for the no-claim bonus fund. So instead of earning this bonus, he believes that it would be to the client's benefit to reap the benefit of a discounted premium immediately. So remember, insurance are quite big on the whole out bonus thing. And then he also, the other thing that also stood out for me is that he actually, guys, when he left, so Galloway was actually the CEO of Tallysure. So Tallysure is First for Women, or they are the underwriters of First for Women, Hippo, Auto in General, for instance. So he actually, he and his staff went almost like underground for 4 years. So for 4 years, they researched every single thing about the market before they actually started their company. So that is quite important, because sometimes you will go in a direction and you realize, this was not the right direction. Okay, so guys, I'm going to keep on referring back to this case study as we continue with today's chapter. Okay, so guys, like I also said here in the introduction, remember that it might be a trivial thing, but you need to make sure that everyone is united around a central theme. So because you need to make sure that your employees know what your strategic direction is. Where are we going? What are the steps in for us to actually get there? And do they also believe in our strategic direction? Are we all working towards a common goal? So before we can continue with strategic direction, remember we need to go back to what is strategic management. So I actually got this from Learning Unit 1. Remember, I said it's concerned with the overall effectiveness and choice of direction in a dynamic, complex, and ambiguous environment. The decisions have long-term implications, and it concerns the entire organization. It's not just top management that decides this is the direction that we're going, and the rest of the employees now have to follow, but they don't actually know where they're going or why they are going there. So strategic management is the formulation, implementation, evaluation, and control of strategies so that we can realize the organization's intent. Okay, so management, they can use different tools in order to determine the strategic direction. They can use the strategic intent, your vision statement, mission statement, and also the value statements. But guys, sometimes it's not a black and white rule that you have to use all 4 of these. Some organizations will combine 2 of them. Other organizations will, for instance, call them other words, like Vodacom, for instance. So what Vodacom has done. Sorry, guys, let me just quickly go to the next slide. So what Vodacom has done, they call it the Vodacom way. So they call it a credo. So a credo is similar to a creed. So remember when you guys were at high school and it was athletics, you will all like kind of do a creed about, so you go like, hey, you know, I don't know, like Affies is top, or Waterkloof High School is the best, for instance. Okay, so a creed. Sorry, guys, I just closed my door of these airplanes that are going over. So a creed is a statement of the beliefs or aims which guide someone's actions. So a credo in the corporate world is basically a mission statement, the beliefs, the principles, and the purpose. So it's more like a combination of that. So sometimes other companies, instead of saying it's a mission statement, they will call it a purpose statement. But the first thing that we need to go and do is determine the strategic direction. And guys, I actually linked the corporate governance letter of Vodacom. This is a really interesting document that talks about the Vodacom way. I actually got a picture as well of where they share who they are, what the Vodacom way is. There it is. So I'll go back to that slide now. So they said their purpose. So what is their purpose? Okay, to empower everyone to be confidently connected. So guys, remember, not all organizations will always have all four of them. So not all organizations will have a defined purpose. It doesn't mean that they don't have a purpose. It just means that their purpose might be part of their vision. Okay. Then their vision says they want to be the best network, best value, and best service. What strategies are they using to actually get there? And then they say their way is speed, simplicity, and trust. Okay. And then they speak about how they need to actually do it so that they can get there. So our way, the speed, simplicity, and trust can be defined as their strategic intent. Okay. So guys, the whole idea of what strategic intent is, this is an obsession that companies have. And this is about winning at all levels of the organization. Remember, like I said, if we're going to Cape Town, all of us have to be able to want to go to Cape Town. So, for instance, Coca-Cola's strategic intention was to beat Pepsi. Avis' intention was to outperform the Bidvest car rental service. It is a driving force that actually gives organizations its focus. So guys, sometimes people get confused between strategic intent and a vision statement. So I actually spent quite a lot of, I got a lot of information for you because I really want to make sure that you understand the difference between strategic intent and also what is a vision statement. Okay, so strategic intent, think of words like intention, our goal, our drive. Okay, it is something that wants us to actually get there. We want to win. So strategic intent is a conviction to achieve a certain state of affairs in the future. It's it's our intention. Why are we doing this? Where do we want to be? So it's normally a 10 to 20-year quest, and it includes the whole organization. The whole organization has to work together. But then a vision statement is more of a top management leadership tool. So a vision statement is more about where we see ourselves one day. It talks more about where we want to, we, for instance, want to have 500 employees. Okay. A strategic intent is about our intention, where we want to win with this company. So guys, in other words, mission is your reason for existence. What is your mission in life? Why are you here? Why do we start this company? Your vision is your dream. Okay. It's just for the company. So a lot of companies sometimes will have their vision on their board, and that's fine. Okay. It's not like it's a secret, but you don't create a vision for your customers or for your clients. You don't do that. Your vision is for your company. It's a dream. Okay. It's something that we want to achieve. So it's the blueprint of the company's future position. Where do we see ourselves in 5 or 10 or 20 years? Where do we want to be in like 5 or 10 or 20 years? So it is a dream of the business and the inspiration. It depicts the company's aspirations for the business, and it provides a peep of what the organization would like to become. So your vision might be right now is you want to be the best advocate that have ever existed. Okay. What is your intention? You want to be better or more well-known than Garinel, for instance. Okay. Or you want to say, I want to start my own law firm. That's where you want to see yourself. But your strategic intent will be, I want my law firm to have more clients than Adams and Adams, for instance. So strategic intent, it's the intention of the organization. Your vision and mission actually makes up your strategic intent. It is a statement. So we're physically making a statement to say, I want to be better than that. I want to have more clients than this person. What is my competitor doing, and how can I get to what my competitor is doing? So organizations must define what they want to do and why they actually want to do that. Okay, so guys, please let me know, are you clear on the difference between what is a vision and what is strategic intent? Okay, Arka says she's happy. Okay, 100%. Okay, guys, let's continue. Ooh, sorry. Okay, so guys, strategic intent. So remember, I just gave you the overview of what the chapter is. I gave you the overview of what strategic direction is. Remember, strategic direction, if I ask you about strategic direction, the first thing that you're going to say to me is the 4 pillars. Okay, so think of 4 pillars that are holding a house up. Okay, that keeps a house standing. Think of the 4 walls of a house. So it's the vision, mission, values, and strategic intent. Okay, so now we're actually going to kind of zoom in, and the first one we're going to look at is our strategic intent. So guys, what happened, Hamel and Prahalad, I hope I say that correctly, they actually looked at companies in the East, and then they also looked at companies in the West. So they looked at companies in America, and they saw that companies in America would have a bundle of resources. And then they would actually develop a vision, a mission, and strategic intent that actually fits to their resources. So let's say, like I said, we want to go to Cape Town. We actually work out. We don't have enough money to get to Cape Town. We don't have enough petrol to get to Cape Town. We don't have enough food to get to Cape Town. Okay? So what we say is, so what companies in the West did, they said, okay, we don't have enough to actually get to Cape Town. Let's trim our ambitions a bit. And let's say we will only be able to get to Bloemfontein, for instance. Or we'll only be able to now go to Durban. We won't be able to go to Cape Town anymore. So companies in the West would actually give up their aspirations, would give up their goals, make their goals smaller so that it actually would fit in with their resources. But then on the other side, so what the Western companies did is they did this whole strategic fit. Okay. They looked for advantages that they could actually sustain with the resources that they currently had. So they didn't even think about really, that how they could actually use their resources to be able that would meet their goals. They said, these are the resources we have. Let's move our goals closer, that it will actually match our resources. But then on the other hand, in the East, the Japanese firms actually leveraged their resources. They said, if we had to choose between our resources and our goals, or our strategic intent, our vision, mission, they chose that. They didn't let the resources that are currently available discourage them from achieving their goal. So they actually leverage resources by accelerating the pace of organizational learning, and they try to attain and achieve seemingly impossible goals. So what they said is, how can we use the resources that we have? Well, how can we use it the best way to be able to get where we want to be? Okay. So strategic intent actually envisions a desired leadership position, and the intent is more than just an ambition that you have. It forms a severe misfit between the resources and our ambitions. We're going to talk about it now, where there needs to be a stretch needs to happen. There's currently a gap between our resources and our goals. So we need to go and decide, are we going to move our goals closer to meet our resources, or are we going to change our resources that will stretch over and actually meet our goals? So top management will have to challenge the organization to reduce the gap between the resources and ambition by building a new set of advantages. Okay. So in order to actually, now actually get to our goal, if that is what a company would decide, which is something I would recommend, you can't just move the signpost because you don't have enough resources. You must be able to say, how can we benefit from these resources as much as possible in order to get to our goal? So to achieve the goals, you have to foster the desire to succeed. And you can't just do this among your top management. You need to do this among your employees. I said last week, I remember the organization is like a car. You have car parts. And if you don't put in oil in your car, if you don't put in water and petrol, what's going to happen? Your car is going to break down sooner than later. So your employees are your car parts. They also need to have this desire to succeed. So Hamal and Prahlad then said to study the organizations across the world that actually have risen to global prominence. And they observed these organizations that began with ambitions that were out of proportion to their resources and capabilities. So guys, some examples, for instance, of that is like in your textbooks as well, they speak about Komatsu and Caterpillar and Canon and Xerox. I'll show you guys some of those examples now. So we need to create this obsession with top management and with employees about where are we going. And in order to determine where we're going is we need to look at the strategic intent. So strategic intent, like I already said, is an obsession with winning at all levels of the organization. It's a desired leadership position, as well as the criteria to be used to measure the progress. So remember, we can't just say, this is where we want to be, and then after 10 years say, ooh, no, we went in a total different direction. Okay. We need to be able to measure our progress. if we are going to Cape Town, one of us will definitely check the GPS. One of us will definitely have to check our budget. We can't just randomly drive and then actually end up in Polokwane, okay, because no one checked the GPS. We need to constantly make sure that we are on the right path. So strategic intent looks at an active management process. It includes focusing the organization's attention on the essence of winning. You need to motivate people, and you also need to leave room for individual and team contributions, and you need to sustain the enthusiasm. So a clear strategic intent gives managers a central point of departure of where they can then make decisions. The one thing that I think a lot of companies are lacking these days are communication. So they think that it is okay to every 3 months or so hand out a chocolate to say, oh, thank you for this or thank you for that. But what they are not understanding is that your employees need to constantly be reminded why they are coming to work. Where are we going? What goal are we actually working towards? Okay. And guys, I'm using a lot of, I thought it was funny, the whole Lion King says, remember. Okay. So I want you to remember, if you do not have strategic intent, and you can apply this to your own life as well, you guys are more than welcome. In a slide last year, I actually asked the students to create like a vision, a mission, strategic intent for their own lives. So they had to write their values down. I think I'm actually going to do it with you guys as well. So they had to write their values down, they had to write their vision and their mission and their strategic intent down for themselves, for their own lives. So they saw their own life as a company, essentially. So guys, if we're lacking strategic intent, we're going to have conflicting priorities, wasted resources, we're going to have indecision because we're not going to know where we're going. There's going to be frustration. You're going to have employees that is also going to be frustrated and angry because they also don't know where we're going. Today we were going to Cape Town. Now we are ending up in Polokwane. So what is happening here? And then obviously confusion. You're going to have confusion in the marketplace because your customers won't know what's going on. Your suppliers won't know what's going on. And your employees also won't know what's going on. So you need a baseline which shapes the future and explains the past, and that is where strategic intent will actually come in. So guys, for instance, like Komatsu. So Komatsu is a heavy machinery company, and their intent was to encircle Caterpillar. Canon's intent was to beat Xerox, and Honda's intent was to become the second Ford. So guys, if you think back in 1970, few Japanese companies actually had a resource base or had manufacturing volume or had the technological aspects that the US and European markets had. But they didn't let that actually prevent them from reaching their goal. In the 1970s, Komatsu was actually less than 35% as large as Caterpillar. And they were not actually really outside of Japan. So no one outside of Japan actually knew who they were. They actually only had one product line, and that was bulldozers. But none of that stopped them. They said, let me go for the big fish, and that's what they did. Okay. Honda in the 1970s was smaller than American Motors. Remember, American Motors are one of the biggest brands in America in terms of cars, and they haven't even begun to export cars to the United States yet. Did that stop them? No. Okay. And then Canon's first steps in the repro graphics business looked very small compared to the $4 billion Xerox powerhouse. So guys, also remember, we're always just basing the work on real life. Krispy Kreme said they want to have the largest market share of the total number of donuts sold in the world. That is their strategic intent. Just having just selling donuts is not enough for them. Just having 50,000 donuts being sold a day was not enough. They said, I want to have the largest market share of donuts in the world. Okay, so so guys, by 1985, Komatsu was actually a $2.8 billion company with a product scope and a broad range of earth-moving equipment. They had industrial robots and semiconductors. So I want to show you guys where they got. Initially, when they were here, they wanted to encircle Caterpillar. In the 1970s, they were not even 35% as big as Caterpillar. By 1985, they were a $2.8 billion company. They have increased their product line from a small little bulldozer to earth-moving equipment, industrial robots, as well as semiconductors. Honda manufactured almost as many cars worldwide in 1987 as Chrysler. And then Canon had matched Xerox's global unit market share. So strategic intent is the vision as well as the intent. Vision, where do we want to go? Intent is, how do we want to get there? Who are we looking at? And who do we want to be better than? Okay. So 3 criteria, we need to have direction. Remember, strategic direction. We need to have that motivation and that passion. And then we also need to have a challenge. Remember, if Komatsu or Honda or Canon said, we just want to be able to pay our debts at the end of the year, would they really have become what they are today? Okay. And the answer is no. They wouldn't have. So they were not threatened. They didn't let their big competitor hold them back from creating a strategic intent that was so far removed from their resources. None of that held them back. They still said, you know what? Let's leverage our resources so that we can actually get there and be better than our competitors. So guys, what I want you to do is, this is activity 3.1.1 on VC Learn. So I quickly want you to take like 20 minutes or so. So I'm just going to change this activity a little bit. Otherwise, I'm worried that the answers might be a bit too wide. So I want you to take all 5 of these companies. So Telkom, Post Office, Unisa, Nedbank, and then Pick n Pay. So obviously you can give a brief overview of them, and then I want you to think of ideas. Okay, so the question says here, give examples of a resource allocation decision that you might make based on the strategic imperatives as defined above. So I want you to go and think of things that these companies can do where they will give up short-term profits for long-term gains. So remember, we spoke about short-term profits versus long-term gains last week, and we said that you can't only work for your shareholders. You need to work for your stakeholders as well. So the example that they give here is, for instance, short-term profit versus long-term goal. A car wash business has a lounge area, they have a coffee machine, they have wireless internet, for instance. So quickly take these 5 companies and think of ideas of how they can actually do something for their customer that will create value instead of having a short-term gain. So just take like 20 minutes, and then let's come back and we can discuss this. I'll keep it here for you guys so that you can just look